Hey folks, you saw the two videos we did about how to apply in Wyoming and how to get your elk tag in Wyoming. Well, the next state on the calendar is Arizona. And when we did the Wyoming videos, we did them as a two-part series because we wanted to show you how we use the tools at goHunt. This Arizona video, we're gonna do as one video. Pay close attention because Arizona has some really quirky things. There are some things in Arizona that are different than any other state. Understand, Arizona has a bonus point system, not a preference point system. Remember in Wyoming, we said that most of the tags were on a preference point system. Well, in Arizona, it's a bonus point. We're going to talk about that. Arizona has a cap. Doesn't have a separate pool of tags just for non-residents. It has a cap that says, of the total pool, no more than 10% can go to non-residents. So we might only get 8%, we might only get 5%. We're never gonna get more than 10%. Arizona has a couple ways that you can build bonus points that are different than other places. So we're gonna get into the hunter ed point and the loyalty point. Arizona has two parts to their draw, somewhat like Wyoming. Arizona has what's called the first pass and the second pass. We're gonna explain how that works and how the non-resident cap applies to both of those. And then we're going to get into just an actual, here's how the system progresses, how your name goes into the draw, what happens. Maybe you get a tag, maybe you don't, and wrap it up from there. So follow along. Like in the Wyoming video, I use this goHunt system and I go into their application strategy articles. I'm not going to walk you through it like I did in Wyoming other than to say there's a lot of really good stuff in there. If you use the promo code RANDY, to sign up to be an insider here, you're gonna get $50 of credit in their gear shop. A really, really good gear shop. This year, you need to understand a couple things and they're related to deadlines. If you are doing paper applications, the deadline is January 31st, 2018. If you do the online system, which I do and I would suggest that you do, you're gonna wanna go in and set up an account in what they call their portal and do the application online for a couple of reasons. One, your deadline then is February 13th rather than January 31st, so you get a couple extra weeks, and you're gonna find out your draw results sooner than those people who do the paper application. So in Arizona, understand you have to buy your non-refundable, non-resident hunting license. You have to pay an application fee, and if you get drawn, they're gonna hit your credit card for the actual tag fee, which is on top of the application fee and the license fee. Also understand that the deadline I just gave you applies to what we're talking about here, elk and antelope. I would say of all the gems in Arizona, for those of you who are just getting in the system or you've been in it for a few years, the real elk gems are the late rifle hunts. Everybody wants an archery hunt in Arizona. Don't get me wrong. I would love it. If you are willing to go there with a rifle in the late season, you get this window of time, usually it's about a week, to go and hunt this same herd of elk. Yeah, they're not bugling. Yeah, it's harder hunting. Yeah, there's more people in the woods, but the quality of the bulls are still there. That's the real opportunity for those of you who have, like I do this year, I've only got 2 points. Odds are, my only realistic chance of drawing in Arizona this year with 2 points is one of the late rifle hunts. 3 of our Arizona elk hunts that you've seen us do are on what are called limited opportunity hunts. If you download the regulations from Arizona Game and Fish website, you're gonna see at the bottom of the elk section, it says limited opportunity hunts. We as non-residents are not subject to the 10% cap in those hunts. And I will say what Arizona's definition of limited opportunity is, in a lot of other states it would be considered, that's pretty good opportunity. Don't think just because Arizona has those at the bottom and gets rid of the non-resident cap that there are no elk there. Those are little gems you might want to think about if you're low in the point total. A lot of people ask me, what western state should I be building points in? If you like to apply for elk and deer and antelope and bighorn sheep, and you like to go hunt other species, and if you like hunting with a bow or whatever, hands down, Arizona is your best value. Arizona is a place where your points are going to get you down there hunting every 4 to 6 years, which, considering the opportunity, considering the huge amount of public land and the quality of the age class, there's no other state where you can build points at the same price and have a hunt that you're going to be able to do every 4 to 6 years. So even though this is all listed and explained in greater detail in these insider strategy articles, I'm going to quickly walk through the example of how Arizona does it. Arizona breaks the draw into two pieces, what they call the first pass and the second pass. But understand that when Arizona does first pass, second pass allocation, using an example of 100 tags, no more than 20% of those tags get drawn in the first pass, and the remaining 80% or 80 tags get drawn in the second pass. And for those of us who are non-residents, here's the important part. In the first pass, our 10% cap, no more than half of that, or 5% of the tags, can go to non-residents in the first pass. And our 10% cap, then the remainder can be allocated in the second pass. If in the first pass only 3% go to non-residents, that means up to 7% can go to non-residents in the second pass. Arizona doesn't guarantee non-residents 10%. The cap is up to 10%. And since Arizona has a bonus point system, we've explained bonus point systems before. The insider explains it in great detail. Understand there's two ways you can get bonus points in Arizona that in no other state am I aware of that you can get bonus points the way you can in Arizona. One is the Hunter Ed bonus point, the other is the loyalty bonus point. The Hunter Ed bonus point, if you've taken a Hunter Ed class in some other state, you can go to Arizona for the one-day class. And it's a long class, but if you go there, you get a permanent bonus point. Forever in Arizona, you get a bonus point. So if you draw, you'd think your points go back to 0. If you have that Hunter Ed point, no, your points go back to 1. And then there's the loyalty point. As long as you apply for 5 consecutive years, you get an extra point. And as long as you keep applying, you keep that loyalty point. If ever you quit and don't apply for that species, you lose your bonus point for that species. So don't ever miss a year. Last year, I drew a limited opportunity tag in Arizona. So you'd think, well, Randy, you're back to 0 points. Nope, I have the Hunter Ed point and I have the loyalty point. So I start out, I'm back at 2 points already. And the same applies whether it's elk, antelope, deer, sheep, whatever. So most people focus Arizona on elk, and I get it. Arizona has unbelievable elk hunting. But if you're applying for elk, for the extra $15 application fee, you may as well throw your name in the hat for antelope. The best antelope hunting in North America is in Arizona. I don't think there's a bad pronghorn tag in Arizona. And if you don't draw, do what I do. Go to Arizona with your bow and buy one of the non-permit deer tags that are good in a lot of the units for coos deer or for mule deer. And those are usually in December and mostly in January. Go down quail hunting, go down dove hunting. Arizona's draw odds are somewhat reasonable if you're not stuck on one of the what I call glory tags. Tons of public land. They have this voluntary public access program that has 4 million acres of accessible land because they've been working with landowners to open up access. There's a lot to like about Arizona. I'm just going to walk through what happens to your application when you go online and apply in Arizona. You've been applying in Arizona for 7 years. You have your loyalty points. So really you've got 8 points. I'm coming in this year, I've only got 2. If we applied for the same first and second choice, you'd have 4 times better odds than me because you have 8 points and I have 2. But here's what happens to your application when it goes into Arizona. If you have 8 points, Arizona is going to assign you 8 random numbers. They're going to take the lowest of your 8 random numbers, and that is your number that you go into the draw with. I only have 2 random numbers, so the odds are, looking at all your 8 assigned random numbers, your lowest one is going to be lower than my 2. So you go into the draw, everybody goes into the first pass, whether you have 0 points or maximum points. In Arizona, let's use an example of 100 tags. They put everybody in the first pass and they conduct this first pass. You're in it, I'm in it, but they say of these tags in the first pass, 20% of the tags go in the first pass. So 20, in my example of 100 elk tags, 20 of them go in this first pass. If you're not in the top 20 point holders, you don't get a tag. The top 20 point holders are going to get a tag unless the 5% non-resident cap has been met. Once the non-resident cap of 5% in the first pass is met, all non-residents, by virtue of that, you're disqualified from this first pass and you're all going into the second pass. And the second pass is going to allocate the remaining 80% or 80 tags based on bonus points. So if you got a lower random number than I do because of having more bonus points, you have a much better chance of drawing in this second pass than I do. And again, they're going to go and say, all right, who's got the lowest random number? Okay. Any tags for his choice? Yep, you get a tag. Go to the next lowest number. Any tags left for his choices? Yep, you get a tag. They keep doing that until all the tags are allocated. So if you got a random number that's really high and you're at the back end of the line, the odds are all the tags have been filled by the time they get to you. They're going to send you a thank you note and give you a bonus point for next year. But let's look at the other quirk of Arizona. They have 2 choices. So with your first and second choice, you need to think that through. Because whether it's in the first pass or the second pass, they look at your 2 choices before they go on to the next person. So let's say you didn't draw in the first pass. You didn't have enough. You weren't in that top, really top end of point holders. So your application comes down into the second draw. You got a pretty decent random number as far as being a lower number. So they're going to get to yours sooner than mine. They get to yours and they look and they say, oh, all your first choice, sorry, there's no tags left for the first choice. Oh, your second choice, there's some tags left there. So they're going to give you your second choice before they move on to the next guy to look at his or her first or second choice. My second choice is always one of the late rifle hunts or one of the limited opportunity hunts. My first choice might be one of the archery hunts, one of the muzzleloader hunts, one of the harder to draw rifle hunts. So use that strategy if you want to go to Arizona. And then you look at how much opportunity there is to get value out of that license besides just your elk application. While all my buddies are here in Montana freezing their butt off next week, me and Michael and Marcus, we're going to be in Arizona. Marcus has a javelina tag. I got one of those non-permit archery deer tags. And we're going to have a blast. We've already paid for the non-resident license to apply for elk and deer and antelope and everything else. Go do it. See you there.